you'll eventually get this ear-opening feeling. Morning everyone! Today's video is the ultimate guide to skyrocket your listening skills. If you're even slightly curious about what I'm about to say, then this one's for you. Think you can't listen well because of bad ears? That's a myth. Believe you must catch every single word someone says? Think again. The real deal behind shadowing and dictation, what they mean and when to use which. And here's a big one. You may have heard Japanese people are good at reading but find listening and speaking tricky. Well, that's a misconception. I've jam-packed all my know-how about English listening into this video. It's gonna be a wild ride, so stay with me till the end. If you're struggling with listening right now, there's one main reason. You just haven't found the right method yet. It's not because your ears are bad or because you're not smart enough. It's because many of us don't really understand what listening is all about. Let's break that down. Listening consists of three parts. First one is hearing the sounds. The second one is transmitting those sounds from your ears to your brain. The last but not least, processing and understanding that info in your brain. A lot of Japanese people focus too much on the first part, thinking they need better ears. How often have we heard, I can't understand English because my ears aren't good? But if you dig deeper, it's often not about the ears, but about strengthening the English muscles in the brain. In reality, the second and third parts are where the magic happens. If you're struggling, you just need the right technique. So we're gonna deep dive into each of these three aspects, showing you how to level up each one. Grab a pen and paper because you won't want to miss this. I've got one crucial tip for you all and three solid exercises to boost your listening powers. First thing, tip. You don't need to catch every single word someone says to understand them. What's that mean? Well, getting the gist doesn't mean catching every last word. Like, take this sentence. I'm going to the shop and buy some goods. When you hear this, the keywords you should pick up on are I, go, shop, and buy. Words like to, the, and are there for grammar's sake, but they don't always make or break the meaning. And guess what? When spoken, not every word gets equal play. It's not always clear-cut like, I'm going to the shop and buy some goods, right? It might even sound more like, I'm going to the shop and buy some goods. English emphasizes meaningful words while softening others. If you focus too hard on every tiny word, you're gonna miss the big picture. Because often, the less meaningful words are the trickiest to catch. English rides on its unique rhythm, and once you get that groove, you'll be able to tune in with less effort. And mind you, this rhythm totally different from Japanese. I'll dive into some exercises to master it in a sec. Now you understand the tip. There are three practices you're gonna do to hear English sounds clearly. That is, studying the phonetic symbols, memorizing words using your ears and mouth, and shadowing. Okay, workout number one. Embracing phonetic symbols. Hands up if you're allergic to the word phonetic symbols. I get it. It sounds scary, but English isn't like Japanese. The pronunciation rules totally different. English is tricky, especially when you compare it to other alphabetic languages. Ever tried guessing the pronunciation of love or knife just from their spellings? Kinda sounds like lauguf or like knife. Been there, done that. I've studied French and Spanish, and trust me, English can be a sneaky devil. But good news, most dictionaries and flashcards got those helpful phonetic symbols. So once you master them, pronouncing stuff becomes a breeze, and I'm just gonna lay it out there. You can't escape them, but chill, there are only about 40 of them. That's like a drop in the ocean compared to all the English words you've learned so far, right? Give them 3 days, and you'll be golden. Alright, workout 2. Learn words with your ears and mouth. With the phonetics down, it's time to internalize the sounds. Now, I hope none of you are doing this, using flashcards with no audio, just writing words down, hoping they'll stick. That might work for a school test, but real-life English? Nah, think about it. We started speaking Japanese way before we learned to read or write. We naturally learn languages by sound, so ditch the silent memorization. Instead, embrace the sound. And imagine if someone mispronounces leaf as reaf. You're gonna be like, huh? Get those words right the first time. Listen, repeat, and if possible, use them in sentences. It's more fun, and you'll feel like you're actually speaking and hearing English. Workout 3. Do the shadowing. Shadowing is like chasing the sound shadow of someone speaking. In simpler terms, it's listening and reading out loud simultaneously. And I know some of you are thinking, the usual drill. But wait, there's more. Do you really get why we do shadowing? Mindlessly doing it won't cut it. Shadowing has two main goals. 1. To align your perception of sound with native pronunciation, and 2. To nail that English rhythm. First off, with listening alone, you're just using your ears. This might lead to passive listening, where you think you're studying, but you're actually just letting it all wash over you. By feeling the pressure to pronounce what you hear out loud as you listen, it amps up your focus, training your ears. On the flip side, if you just read out loud without listening, you might reinforce incorrect pronunciations, which can backfire. So, by actively trying to reproduce the sounds you hear, you really drill the correct pronunciation and rhythm into your ears. Makes sense, right? And let me tell you, you'll eventually get this ear-opening feeling, where suddenly everything is clear as day. Yes, shadowing is intense, it's tiring, but the results are so worth it. Alright, moving on to the next stage of listening, the from ear to your brain phase. So you've cruised through the first phase and now your ears are all tuned up to pick up in English sounds. But here's the twist. You've got to channel that audio straight to your brain. But hold on, if you blast all that audio directly into your brain matter is gonna have a meltdown. Think about it. When you hear I'm fine, you instantly decode as I'm good, right? It's not practical to pick apart every single word, like I am fine. Imagine processing it like, oh, they said they're talking about themselves, then I'm. So something about their current state. Oh, and fine, got it. They're good. By the time your brain's done with that, the combo has moved galaxies away. The trick? You treat I'm fine as one big chunk and send that whole package from your ear to your brain. Put simply, from the moment you hear I to when fine hits your ears, you gotta keep that audio held tight in your ear. And holding on to that English sound, that's retention. So the whole game is about retaining English in chunk-sized bites and delivering it to your brain when the timing's right. Now, to get those muscle flexing, here's your workout. Dictation. Dictation is like the gym for your ears and your brain. It's not just passively letting audio and filling in gaps in the script, which is a mistake a lot of people make. Real dictation is about hitting pause every once in a while and jotting down what you hear, chunk by chunk. So when doing dictation for a sentence like, I'm going to school, don't scribble bit by bit like, I'm going to school. Instead, after a few listens, write it all at once, embracing the whole chunk, I'm going to school. This gets you recognizing English in delicious, chunky bits. If you skip this, even if your ears are catching sounds perfectly, your brain might just blank out on the meaning. It's like hearing every word but understanding none of it. Alright, let's dive into the final frontier of listening, the processing in the brain phase. You've done phase 1, getting those ears primed to pick up English sounds. Then phase 2, you got pro at sending those sounds to your brain in chunky bites. Now the real deal is to get that brain of yours to interpret all that audio. Only after mastering this last step can you truly say, I got what they're saying. And here's my hot take. I believe this third step is the most crucial in mastering listening. Yet, a lot of folks back in Japan think, hey, as long as my ears are on point, I've got listening down pat. But think about it. If you can't grasp a written English text spoken by a native speaker, how on earth are you gonna understand it just by hearing, no matter how sharp those ears are? To drive this point home, try reading the text that will pop up on your screen within the time limit. Ready? Here we go. So, did you catch all of that? I displayed a 50-word English passage for just 20 seconds, mimicking the pace of slightly slow native speaker. Felt a bit tough, right? If you couldn't keep up, it's a sign. It isn't just about training those ears, but also about turbocharging your English processing speed. We often hear Japanese people are great at reading, but stink at listening. But I'm a bit skeptical about that. Japanese people aren't good enough at reading in the first place. Now you ask, so how do we ramp up this processing speed? Let me break it down for you. First off, extensive reading. For this, pick materials about 2 levels below your current English ability. You want something you can breathe through without reaching for a dictionary or rereading sentences. Why? Because the whole goal of extensive reading is to speed up your English processing. Think about it. You wouldn't pull out a thick grammar book or dictionary while you're chatting with your friends, right? Same idea here. Dive into a ton of English texts, read them quickly, and don't sweat the small stuff. Over time, you'll find you're grasping English faster and more naturally. A lot of folks tend to take their time poring over complicated English, but flip that approach. Zoom through simpler English instead. Speed is the name of the game. The second tactic is shadowing, which I touched on earlier. With shadowing, whether you like it or not, you'll match the speed of native speaker, training your brain to keep up step by step. Okay, let's recap. First off, dive deep into phonetic symbols, lock in on pronunciations, memorize words with care, and then flex those auditory muscles with shadowing, ensuring your ears capture English sounds just right. That's step 1 in the bag. Move on to dictation, which lets you send those sounds your ears catch chunk by chunk. You've nailed step 2. Ready for the final beat? By immersing yourself in extensive reading and shadowing, you'll be grooving to the pace of native speakers, decoding English effortlessly in your brain. And there you have it, step 3. Keep these 3 steps front and center and watch your listening skills skyrocket at an unimaginable pace. I've got something to share with you all. There's no shortage of people who will tell you they want to get good at English, but not many will buckle down and put the hard yards. Just by tuning into this video, I reckon you're already in the top 10% of English learners. But I'm rooting for you to shoot even higher. On this channel, I, as a born and bred Japanese person, spill the beans of the real essence of English learning, gleaned from my solo journey to cracking the highest rank in the Aiken English test and scoring a 970 on TOEIC tests. Please hit the subscribe button and let's power up our English game together. That's it. See you in the next video.